left and the far right are equally problematic.
I've actually seen both sides. I'm a gay conservative, and I have seen the far right chastise me for my sexuality, and I've seen the far left chastise me for being conservative. I've had my own address put on the freeway here in Los Angeles because they feel that my voice should not be out there. So I see the two sides actively doing harm to those of us in the middle who have a really rational voice and want to express ourselves in a safe way.
I appreciate the anecdotal experience that you had.
You had to say that. Okay, let's see.
But I think my issue saying that liberals are more problematic, I think everyone is.
What I talk about in my anecdotal incident is where I have never had a conservative physically attack me on the streets for what I am or who I am. They may verbally attack me. I've got that from the left too, but the left has physical attacks on my physical being out on the streets because I'm expressing myself.
So
The moment you're moving your hand before somebody finish, I believe you're already thinking about the response, so you didn't listen to anything, but let's see.
I mean,
Multiple.
The opposite for myself. So experiences, as I said, anecdotal.
Right.
Your experience, completely valid, but to say, oh, liberals are worse.
Right. Well, it's not that there's no one worse, which is why I didn't move to strongly agree. My anecdotal experience tells me.
So maybe I'm speaking from my point of view, but what I think is weird, there are so many horrible things that I've seen that have happened, for example, through Antifa, Black Lives Matter, Free Palestine, weird stuff, and everybody's like, we can justify the rage. And I'm like, are you sure about that?
I'll put you 6 feet deep. I'll put you 6 feet deep.
There is a group of people on both sides that will do active harm to someone who steps out of their expected narrative.
I feel like when we talk about political extremes, I think one, there is a lack of desire for bipartisanship. The second thing is this kind of playful attachment to facts. People on the far left and the far right, whether we're talking about Israel-Palestine or vaccines, people seem to have very fun activities in terms of just completely making stuff up regarding these two things. And then the third thing is the demonization of political opponents, where people on the far left and the far right engage in this idea that the people on the opposite side of the aisle, they're not just different or have different ideas, they actually hate the country, they want to destroy us.
I agree with Destiny, but the people in the middle right now is a right-winger, okay? A person on the left side 20 years ago, right now, is a right-winger because they're a centrist. So it's clear to me, the way they project is, at this moment, the left is a little more unique.
Extremists just for being even pretty centrist, based on our small conversation we've already had here.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone here is extreme.
No.
But going down the street, you might get labeled, crazy leftist or racist or.
I had to take his shirt off, for real.
It's interesting because when answering this prompt, I sort of hesitated. I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I used to be what I would characterize as a radical leftist. Now I'm sort of right of center, and I feel like I get characterized as a far-right extremist quite a bit. So I was thinking, what does far-right even mean? Because so many people who I deem to be reasonable are characterized as far-right, and I'm sure people on the left feel that very same way. I've gone and spoken to different campuses, both as a leftist and as a right-of-center individual, and I've never received more hatred or people trying to cancel my events than coming to those campuses as a conservative speaker.
Well, do you think that's because some of that rhetoric causes a lot of harm on the right side? A lot of the things that are being said maybe in those talks can have lasting impacts on those students when you're on those campuses. So and in the other way, the conservative students might not care as much about
Oof. It's not that they don't care. They don't even dare to say something because, hey, nobody's complaining. So I guess they agree with it. Honestly, they don't. But the reason people are having slowly more of a voice because we realize that even if we shut up, we can get in trouble for shutting up. We're talking about kids. Do you know how much I feared for my life because I might lose a friend? Now I have to go to a school where I also sleep there.
Progress is being talked about. I think there's
perfect example is Dylan Mulvaney just spoke at the University of Penn. They are free to go and have a talk. Conservatives didn't come out and try to cancel that event. They didn't threaten staff. They didn't blockade the entrances, they let that event go on. Amala goes to speak, and there's rallies, they're pulling fire alarms, they're attacking the attendees. There is extremism.
I'm sure that there is, but I don't think Dylan Mulvaney is the right person to use for your example because of how much...
She's a leftist.
She's a leftist, but she's also had her life threatened on multiple occasions.
Right.
Wait. Even if you say that, just because somebody is threatened, we're not allowed to make an example out of that? That's like me saying you can make an example of Riley Gaines that experienced the same thing. Yes, threatened at her home, address, cool, that's bad stuff. Riley Gaines had a bunch of students hunting her down. They locked her up in a room. Police needed to escort her on the outside. I'm like, bruh. And then the teachers were like, well, I understand your rage. Tomorrow is a beautiful day. Let's go.
Bye, have a great time.
Of course, there's a lot of people in the middle. But what you have to take in consideration is who is standing behind you like, ooh, I'm going to get this law passed because nobody is speaking. That is the thing that you need to take in consideration.
Around a lot because her address continuously is doxxed, and she wasn't even speaking at any sort of event. She was given a free Bud Light can, and her life was threatened.
I think something that's really important to keep in mind, given the entirety of the show actually, is when we talk about like canceling or attacking people, the reality is if you have the power to do it, you will do it. And on college campuses, the prevailing thought right now is generally progressivism. So if they can cancel or if they can bully conservative speakers off campus, they'll do that. But then right now, because conservatives don't have power on college campuses or in some forms of media, they'll say, well, the left is pro-cancel culture. No offense to conservatives. You don't get credit for saying, well, we didn't try to cancel somebody on college campus. Yeah, that's because there's like 10 of you. You couldn't do it even if you wanted to. Right? Like, obviously you're not doing it, right?
I think there's way more conservative students than I think people actually give credit to.
Yeah.
Maybe they feel like they need to, harbor those beliefs internally rather than, espouse them out loud. And I will say, any conservative who wants to shut down an event or a speech, I would wholly disagree with.
I wish more people would disavow that, but the fact that you want to make a joke about it, there's so few of you. I'm like, no, we don't speak out. And there comes a point you just shut up because you just want peace of mind. And then surprisingly, people say, hey man, nobody's complaining. I guess we're right. I'm like, no. It makes me wonder sometimes who is in the echo chamber.
There should not be limitations on free speech. 3.
Okay, I hate this prompt. Because we all agree that like direct calls to violence are not acceptable, I imagine.
Right.
We all agree like you can't scream fire in a theater. Otherwise, I think that like there should be Nazis on college campuses like doing their ideology. You should be allowed to say basically whatever rhetoric you want as long as it's not like violating the terms of service of a platform. I do agree that vaccine misinformation is harmful. I do agree that misinformation relating to conspiracy theories is harmful, but I don't think the proper way to go about addressing that is to lock it all down and to ban it. I like the steps that YouTube has taken where they might put a note under the video, or what Twitter, or the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, called X, is taking where they have like the community note system.
I was thinking the very same thing as you. Of course, there are certain things that you cannot do, even with free speech being present. And I'm not sure how you define hate speech. So with some of the hate speech laws that are coming about, I think those need to be reevaluated and maybe rolled back. Because even people who we disagree with or we don't like or we view as evil should still be able to espouse their beliefs.
Right. For example, right now, what's going on with students on campus, I don't agree that Congress and other individuals should limit what students are talking about on campus, what's going on in Gaza, what's going on in Israel, with the crackdown on JVP, the crackdown on Students for Justice for Palestine. The people who are in power should understand that students are the most, I would say, abrasive when it comes to speaking out against injustices.
Remember, if you were a Jewish person at this school and you want to have the same voice, they will go after the Jewish person in front of the professor, because I already covered a video when the professor said it depends on the context. I'm like, yo. That is the issue with free speech. There's always a context depending on the political idea.
I'm a free speech absolutist. I think that there should be repercussions to certain free speech, but it's a constitutional right, and that's where I stand with it. I don't want any apps being banned. I don't want people being banned from certain apps. And I think there's an attack on our First Amendment right now.
So you think no one should be banned from platform?
Absolutely not.
So like someone calls me like the F slur, you like leave them?
They called me.
Why?
I get called that
Because
all
that's
the
their
time.
right to say that. Now, you can't, there should be measures
Yeah.
taken.
Why not? I mean, I've been called that all my life. I had a woman's voice. I had no beard. Why not? I think it's the best way to filter the bad people. Because these days, I don't know who is the bad person. I just see a bunch of foxes dressed like sheep.
Where, like I said, there are repercussions to certain speech. I don't think the platform should be able to remove them, but I think you should have the right to block them like we already can now,
Right.
because
I agree
I've
with-
lost 3 Instagram profiles just for saying, oh, I don't think children should have sex changes under the age of 18.
True.
Accounts gone. Like, I've lost thousands of followers and stuff for just saying things that I think are just common
I do have a
sense,
question
so.
for you, actually.
Yeah.
Because I can understand why, like, hearing a word like that is harmful, and it's not something that you want to deal with on a daily basis. Wouldn't you rather know who's homophobic, though? Wouldn't you rather know who's racist?
Kinda.
These platforms have the right.
Why did you remove the answers? Jubilee. I know, man. I know, Jubilee. The fact you hurt my feelings. What about my feelings? I'm like, come on, man. That was so important. I really wanted to know this person's answer. You failed me, Jubilee. You did.
As private businesses to say what they want on those businesses. It's not cancel culture for them to take down slurs. And honestly, they're not that great at taking down slurs anyway. Because I get called a on a daily basis online just for being a Jewish person.
Fortunate thing is this internet and social media has become the town square. And in the town square, if you were to take a box and put it in the town square, there is no limit on what you can say. And who's to say the city's going to come down and say, you use the word and we're going to take your soapbox and you can't ever come back to my city? That's exactly what you're doing when you're saying the platform has every right to remove this language.
You have the option to go to another platform. There's plenty of
So we have an option to
conservative.
go to another city then.
There's
Wow.
plenty of conservative platforms
Now
that
you have no free speech.
That is a lie. Don't lie to me. The only place I can cover specific things that I can even say on the video when I'm trying to find a middle ground, when people are labeling me I'm the extremist, is on X. It's the only place because everywhere else it will be removed.
My side is misrepresented by the media. 3, 2, 1.
Honestly, the media is controlled by the left. I really never see any positive light shine on conservatives nor the right in the media ever, unless it's right-wing
Evil.
media.
Yeah.
And to your point, what I think is really interesting to even just look at the conservatives who are here today, it's a pretty diverse bunch of people. And when I was on the left, my characterization of conservatives was like white, heterosexual, old man, and to having moved over that space and see, oh, there's way more people who just have conservative beliefs, or maybe they
Look
don't
at
agree with some of
me.
the woke stuff that's happening right now. I think we are often mischaracterized.
Yeah.
I do agree that right now, ironically, it seems like the left and
Ironic.
the farther left have more kind of corporate media control in terms of how images are displayed. So you're going to feel like if you're a conservative that you're not accurately represented, and the left maybe gets some more representation. But on platforms where conservatives run things, holy Christ, are people on the left completely and totally misrepresented. Like, how many times have I heard these stupid quotes from the WEF where it's like, oh, you want us to rent everything and own nothing, and you want us to eat bugs, and you're on your 57th booster shot. Today, if anybody's ever listened to Rush Limbaugh, Michael Savage, Billy Cunningham, like any of these people, these guys are not giving fair, accurate representation of the left. Their voices just tend to be more marginalized or smaller now in media because of how much corporate control kind of like bows to the woke agenda, I would say.
Mainstream media tends to misrepresent conservatives. We all can agree on that. But what they do very well is they misrepresent liberals in a positive light. We can all remember the news anchor going, it's a mostly peaceful rally, and there's a building burning behind you. They've misrepresented the other side, saying, look, this side is all sunshine and rainbows, everything's fine, pay no attention to those people being hurt in the back. And instead of actually elevating people who were advocating for peace and saying, please don't destroy these buildings, they focused on the destruction and everything else, but not the actual destruction.
The American dream is still alive.
I think the American dream has become the American memory. Like, I was thinking about this just
Interesting.
outside of politics. Like, you know how a lot of people have nostalgia for like the past and stuff. It made me look at America, and it's like, we're not going to get back the America that we were post 9/11 when everybody was a little more unified outside of the Patriot Act and everything. We're not going to get the America where all races could get along without people saying, oh, you're culturally appropriating, you're microaggressions, all that little stuff that keeps us divided. I don't think we'll get back to the America that we grew up in. I honestly don't. Like, I want to be optimistic, but it's hard.
I guess I just don't know that that's the necessary point of the American dream. I think it shifts and it changes and it takes on the context of the time that it's in, where we had that sort of old school nuclear family, house with the white picket fence.
Yeah, we don't have nuclear family anymore. That got destroyed.
That's changing with technology and corporations buying up properties and things like that. But I don't think the American dream is dead. I think it's taking on a new form. I think still there is no better place to be, no better place for progress. And as you watch people in other countries, what are they influenced by? They're influenced by America. Where do they want to be? They want to be in America. So it speaks to me that the dream is very much still alive. Opportunity is very much still alive. It just looks different.
The dream or the idea?
The dream.
The dream.
Yeah,
I agree.
I like this girl so much. The guy said, well, it's a memory. And she says, well, aren't we progressive? Well, time progress. So the dream progress. You can look at things in a different way, even if you have two eyes.
I want to believe that the American dream can be like real. The more I've experienced life, the more I feel it is a little more on the dead side. Like, it's like this idea that we're taught when we're growing up is that you work the hardest, you're gonna get the most, right? Like, but that's just not true. Like, and that's not the world we live in. And I know it's a little pessimistic. As I said, like, I want to be like the poverty cycle breaker in my family, but it's like, it feels next to impossible sometimes.
It may feel out of reach, but I started my adult life with $35 in my pocket, and I was a runaway because my parents locked me up. I saw them achieve the American dream of having a home and having beautiful children. I wanted that, and I worked hard. And now in my work in real estate, I see people achieving the American dream all day long. Sometimes California is a little outside of our price range. We got to go to another state. But that potential, that idea that I am free to choose to get a home, choose to get land, choose to start a business, that is still here. And I wholeheartedly believe that the American dream still rests in our hands. We just have to be strong enough to take it.
I think for individuals who immigrate to America, the American dream may still be alive and embedded within their spirit. But I think for BIPOC folk that are within America, the American dream is sort of a memory, and it's becoming less vibrant due to the housing crisis, due to, like you said earlier, gentrification, due to the lack of education.
Lack of fathers at home and lack of family. Why don't you say it? It's a clear thing that is happening in the black community, but you don't want to say it. Migrants, when they work, all they says, look man, I'm giving you a head start. I'm sacrificing my life. I'm doing this for you, son. They are giving everything to their kids. It's like an investment. You don't have this in most Western culture because it's my human right. It's my time. I'm like, yeah, it is. But to give the kid the best, you have to give the kid the best of you. Well, I think this is enough for me. And all I can say is this. The moment you want to find a solution so everybody is going to have a good deal, I don't think that's even possible. You're going to always find somebody at the bottom. And even if he's the best one at the bottom, he's going to compare himself or herself with the top, and it's going to be an issue all over. So I think you have to find, where can we find the majority people in the middle ground at a good place? Well, guess what? It doesn't exist, because you tax the middle class to oblivion, and now they feel almost as poor as the poor people. Because being poor, you get money. Being middle, they don't help you. And I'm like, why do you have a family department and you only help single people? I mean, it makes no sense. And I can just spew a bunch of stuff, but hey, I don't want you to think I'm a right-winger, okay? But anyway, left-wing yourself to the like button if you are, or right-wing yourself. And if you enjoy more reaction, let me know, and see you guys in the next one. Peace.